Hello cadets, we have a very special episode for you today. Here on Cryptonauts, we usually focus on the technology side of blockchain. However, it would be a mistake if we did not highlight some projects that we thought were interesting that are upcoming, that also happen to be ICOs. Helping me review this ICO is Ramon Pedrigal, an ICO investor from South Africa who we met on our recent trip to Latvia. He is in investment management and he is also a chartered financial analyst, meaning when it comes to numbers, he knows his stuff. Today we are talking about Solana. Disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video, this is also not financial advice. We are simply just doing a project review. But let's get to it. Let's go talk to Ramon over in South Africa.
Cryptonauts.
Ramon, what's going on? Good to have you here, my friend. Are you ready?
Captain, it's really good to be here with you guys. I've got an exciting project that I'd like to talk to you guys about today. It is called Solana. So what I'm going to be talking to you about specifically is, what makes their project unique, a little bit about the team, because I think they've got some real all-stars on the team, then go into a little bit of detail on their roadmap and deliverables, and finally we'll touch on, a little bit of the hype that's surrounding the project as well as the community, and my ultimate thoughts.
Okay, first up, let's get an overview of the project.
Okay, so basically what is Solana? Solana is a project that is based in the US. Specifically, it's based in San Francisco, and it proposes to be the world's fastest blockchain. They say that they will be able to reach speeds of up to 710,000 transactions a second with no sharding or data partitioning. To give you some perspective on that number, Bitcoin currently has a transaction speed of 7 transactions a second, and Visa is currently sitting at around 65,000 transactions a second, so we're talking about really, really fast speeds.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, listen, it's pretty fast, but at the same time, everyone promises the best and the biggest in terms of the next blockchain, don't they? The one thing that I have to say with regards to Solana is that they are delivering on their promises. They currently have a testnet that is performing at 250,000 transactions a second, at one stage peaking at 400,000. So they definitely know how to walk the walk.
Okay, so would you say that they're comparable to IOTA and Nano, or is their technology completely different?
I think that they are comparable. They are always going to be competitors within the space, even if they may be approaching the space from a novel angle. Having said that, their novel development, which they've called proof of history, is pretty awesome, I think. What they plan to do is they plan to encode the passage of time as data. Solana will be combining proof of stake and using proof of history as their scaling solution.
So how would proof of history in relation to proof of stake look like?
The thing that really got me excited with this project is a story that I remember from my childhood. I was actually watching National Geographic one day, and they were talking about railroads, specifically in the US, and the standardization of time and time zones in the US, and how that propelled the railroad industry into the new age. So, back in the 19th century, the expansion of transportation and communication created the need for unified timekeeping. Initially, before standardized time zones were established with regards to the railway industry, many towns and cities set their clocks to what was based on dawn and dusk. So this was known as solar time. We all know that dawn and dusk can vary greatly because of the curvature of the Earth. So what ultimately ended up happening is that their use of local solar time became increasingly difficult and inaccurate. So initially, trains would use the time schedule for the town where their lines began. And this caused a lot of confusion with passengers because, goods would arrive early or late, passengers had to try guess the exact time that the train would be arriving at their respective stations. And this was all due to the fact that all town clocks were different. So every city in the US had different local time standards. Came a guy by the name of Charles Dowd, and he proposed that the United States adhere to a standardized time zones in order to increase efficiency of the railroad specifically. And thus 4 standard time zones for the continental United States were introduced in the late 1800s. And as we can see, the standardization of time zones allowed for the streamlining of transportation and logistics in the USA, which could arguably be one of the factors that shaped the country into what it is today. So regarding Solana, by weaving the standardized timestamp into the blockchain, nodes in the network can verify the time and order of events without witnessing them directly. And if you think about it, there must be huge implications to productivity and timekeeping if things like that are somewhat synchronized going forward, you know.
Wow, okay, that's interesting. So is the tech gonna be split or partitioned? Is it gonna be using sharding?
So I think there is not going to be sharding. It's going to be that there will be a universal timekeeping system. And all information will then be recorded onto that blockchain according to that universal time. And that, you know, if you think about it, you can divide a second into millionths. And if you're thinking about millionths of a second, if you can accurately record time, theoretically speaking, you can have 1 million transactions a second.
Is there anything else about the tech that stands out? And how do you think it could help us?
So there are various use cases for the tech. I mean, you could use this for distributed web services and storage. You could use this for payment systems. You could use this for decentralized exchanges. So there are a lot of real-world use cases and applications going forward. And I'm sure that those will only expand with time.
Let's jump into their team, because I know you said quality of team is very important. So who they got?
Yeah, so for me, you know, specifically with the team, it's very important that you have a team that has experience within educational faculties, of course, you know, universities, but also direct experience within the corporate world. So, you know, with regards to the Solana team, the CEO, his name is Anatoly Vakovenko. He led development of operating systems at Qualcomm, distributed systems at Mesosphere, and compression at Dropbox. And he also currently holds 2 patents for high-performance operating systems protocols. I don't know if you're familiar with Qualcomm at all, but I mean, it's a multinational company. It was founded in the US in 1985 by MIT and Cornell alumni. You know, it's a listed company. It's one of the biggest companies out there. So a lot of the team seems to have experience coming out of Qualcomm, so I've got a feeling that that's kind of where they met. You know, with regards to their CTO, or their Chief Technology Officer, Greg Fitzgerald, he was a senior software engineer at Qualcomm too, with vast experience in JavaScript, Python, C++, and Haskell. And their chief scientist, Eric Williams, is a PhD who studied particle physics at Berkeley and received his PhD from Columbia. So we're definitely talking about some all-stars here who are the cream of the crop.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about their roadmap?
So with regards to their roadmap, like I was saying earlier, you know, a lot of blockchain projects, they overpromise and they underdeliver. And in Solana's case, what they've done is they've decided to push out their token generation event to the first quarter of 2019 I think to raise awareness of the project, but also to build goodwill amongst the community, to show the community that they can actually achieve what they're setting out to do. So with regards to their roadmap, you know, they currently have a testnet that has already launched. That's the one where 250,000 transactions a second has been achieved. They are planning to release their testnet 2.0 in June, along with a public demo. And following that in September, they will have a public testnet available with a mainnet launch in the 4th quarter of this year. So for me, what's really interesting is, you know, they've already got a testnet out and they're looking to launch their mainnet before the token generation event, which shows me that they are showing the crypto community that they can put their money where their mouth is.
Okay, wait. So you're telling me that they have a working product before their ICO?
And too few projects are doing that these days. I think it's something that I really look for. You know, an MVP, a testnet, something to show us that the team is capable of achieving the goals that they set out to achieve. And Solana is ticking that box for me.
Okay, so let's talk about hype. How does the community feel about it?
Currently, the Solana Telegram group has about 18,000 members. That has increased, I mean, you know, in the last 2 weeks, it's increased to that amount. I think that hype is definitely being generated around this project. But we do need to keep in mind that the token generation event is only going to be happening in the 1st quarter of next year. And because of that, you know, there's a few things that they need to iron out. They haven't necessarily gotten to the token metrics yet. So it's definitely a work in progress. But if you guys want more information on the project, they've got fantastic information on their Telegram group. You can find the link through their website at solana.io. You can check the pinned message in the Telegram group. I mean, they've got information with regards to the team, a little bit about what the project is trying to achieve, their roadmap, also videos explaining this concept of proof of history in greater detail. So yeah, I think that hype is generally, it's growing at an organic rate, which I like more because I don't like fake hype, you know. I like to see projects being spoken about in an organic manner amongst the community.
So Ramon, as an ICO investor and specialist, what would you give this on a scale of 1 rocket to the moon?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. I think that what we should do is break it up a little bit, Captain. So, you know, with regards to the team, that's always where I start when I look at ICOs. I think they have a fantastic team with some great pedigree. I would possibly give them 8.5 rockets. With regards to their roadmap, also very, very strong. The fact that they already have a testnet out, are releasing testnet 2.0 next month with a public demo. You know, things really seem to be gaining speed. So on that front, I would definitely give them a 7. And with regards to the white paper, I think that always it's the case with these blockchain projects where they always promise a huge amount. It has yet to be seen if they can deliver, but that's a problem that all blockchain projects go through. You know, they all have their teething issues, and I'd like to kind of give them the chance to deliver on their promises. So with the white paper, from the white paper perspective, I would say about 6.5 to 7 out of 10. From a hype perspective, it's still very much too early. There's definitely been a lot of growth in interest and the community over the last 2 weeks, but having said that, you know, their token metrics aren't out yet, and the token generation event will be happening at the beginning of next year, which is quite a far way out. That, coupled with the fact that they don't necessarily have any token metrics at the moment because it's still early days, I would possibly give this project an overall 7.5 to 8.
7.5 to 8 rockets. That's only 2 away from the moon.
You're going to need a lot of rocket fuel, yeah.
All right, thank you, Ramon, for sharing your knowledge and information with us.
Thank you, buddy.
For all you guys out there, if you guys like what you saw, or if you guys have any ICOs you guys want us to go over, feel free to comment and let us know. Okay, Ramon, always a pleasure. I'll see you next time.